Right now, a vigil is still underway in Minneapolis for 37-year-old Alex Preddy, who was shot and killed today by a Border Patrol agent at 26th and Nicollet in South Minneapolis. At the same time, protests are growing at the Whipple Federal Building. The governor activated the Minnesota National Guard to assist local police both at the site of the shooting and the Federal Building, where officials have squared off with protesters daily. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Julie Nelson.
And I'm Morgan Wolf. This shooting keeping Minneapolis and Minnesota in the national spotlight is the third shooting involving federal agents in less than 3 weeks. In the last 2 hours, local and state officials say that they are suing the federal government to retain evidence in today's shooting after the BCA says it was shut out entirely from the scene.
We have team coverage of the latest developments from the investigation to the scene to demonstrations and vigils. But we begin with Lou Raguse with a closer look at what transpired on a Minneapolis street this morning.
Julie and Morgan, the various video angles that captured the shooting do not match the narrative from Homeland Security officials, and state officials say they've been shut out of the investigation despite having a warrant from a judge.
37-year-old Minneapolis man and U.S. citizen Alex Preddy was protesting ICE and recording video in the middle of the street at Nicollet Avenue and 26th Street when one video shows him try to help a woman who was pushed down by a federal agent. Video shows an agent spray Preddy in the face. He struggles with several of them and they shoot him multiple times. After the shooting, Homeland Security officials shared a photo of a handgun and magazines they recovered from Preddy. Secretary Kristi Noem characterized it like this.
This individual went and impeded their law enforcement operations, attacked those officers, had a weapon on him and multiple dozens of rounds of ammunition, wishing to inflict harm on these officers, brandishing like that.
But Preddy never brandishes the gun or even reaches for it in any of the videos publicly posted. And look at this. A federal officer pulls Preddy's gun from the back of his pants on this video as the agent next to him draws his weapon. That agent then fires all or most of the 10 shots we can hear after Preddy was disarmed right in front of him. Normally, the state's Bureau of Criminal Apprehension would begin a use of force investigation.
But unfortunately, in these recent events, others outside of the state are making decisions that does not occur.
BCA Superintendent Drew Evans says after federal agents blocked them from the crime scene, they got a warrant from a judge. Remarkable, considering the crime scene is a public street.
But we did that attempting to have judicial approval to enter this scene to gather evidence. We were once again blocked by federal authorities to go in and do that scene examination.
Noem made it clear that Homeland Security investigations would be conducting any investigation of their own federal officer, while Evans and Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty are encouraging anyone with videos or other evidence to send it to them as well.
To be clear, state officials do not know the identity of the shooter. They say federal authorities won't share that. This morning, Border Patrol Chief Greg Bavino said the officer who fired the shots is a Border Patrol agent with 8 years experience and extensive training as a range safety and in less lethal officer. We have a link on KARE11.com to the portal where people can submit videos to state investigators, and it's worth noting that Preddy did have a license to legally carry a firearm. Morgan.
All right. Thanks for that update, Lou. Well, coming up in less than 15 minutes, Chris Harapsky will break down more videos, including what led up to the shooting moment by moment from several different angles.
Just within the last couple of hours, Minnesota's Department of Corrections issued a pretty remarkable statement responding to claims that federal officials made about the shooting. The DOC says the person identified as the original target has never been in DOC custody. Court records show no felony convictions associated with him, only misdemeanor level traffic offenses from more than a decade ago. They say DOC records further indicate that a person by this name was previously held in federal immigration custody in a local Minnesota jail in 2018. During President Trump's first administration. DOC officials say they have now created a web page to fight false information from the Department of Homeland Security. We have a link to it at KARE11.com. Well, as news of this morning's shooting spread, protests grew quickly and at times turned chaotic as thousands of people gathered near the scene throughout the day. Raya Katene is there live for us now with how things are looking at this hour. Raya?
Julie, the crowd is much smaller at this point. I want you to take a look at the intersection of 26th Street and Nicollet behind me. The barricade is still there. It's formed with some dumpsters and some garbage cans, and now the crowd there has dwindled to just a few people playing the drums, and this is where most of the protesting and chanting was taking place throughout the day. So I want to actually redirect you now towards the middle of Nicollet. We're now between 26th and 27th Street. This is where a memorial of sorts is taking place and forming for the victim, Alex. And you can also hear at some points some of these protesters are erupting into chants, but we spoke to a couple of them earlier, and they said they wanted to come out here to pay their respects and demand change. These chants and demands, now all too familiar to Minnesotans.
Just pray for us, Minnesota. We're going through a lot right now.
Some of whom have hit the streets time and time again.
Ooh, this is not new.
And some who've decided to protest on Saturday for the first time.
This is my first time here. I wanted to stay safe for my family. I needed to stay safe for my family. But now this is what I do to keep my family safe.
As calls for change grow louder on the corner of 26th and Nicollet, a memorial grows a few feet away for 37-year-old Alex Preddy.
Yep, a lot of respect for him.
In the spot where he was shot and killed by a federal agent hours earlier.
I was devastated. You got to think about it. That person got a family.
Protesters say they'll continue standing in solidarity with one another.
We still keeping it peaceful, as you can see. Ain't nobody looting, terrorizing, no riots. We still keeping it peaceful. This is the second person they done killed.
And as long as ICE is still on Minnesota's streets, they say Minnesotans will be too.
Be out here speaking your voice, because if you don't, they come for all of us, not just one. Not just Renee Good, not just Alex. They're out here for anyone who is resisting right now.
It is still bitterly cold out here, and we've seen efforts like this pop up throughout the day. These are tables with volunteers and neighbors bringing out some hot coffee, some hot water, and hand warmers for anyone who is still out here. I will note we have not seen any sort of police presence at this point. We've heard from some state and local officials that National Guard may be setting up a perimeter around this area using their vehicles at some point. I personally have not seen that. We did have a crew a couple of hours ago notice that some National Guard vehicles were surrounding a couple of the blocks near here. Back to you.
Raya, thanks. Well, just after the shooting, protesters clashed with law enforcement. Chaotic moments captured by our Sammy Selena, who was there in the thick of it all.
No hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here.
Between federal agents and protesters, this is as peaceful as it got on 27th and Nicollet.
Minneapolis emergency responders were administering CPR around a person on the west side of the street across from Glamdal Donuts.
Close to where Alex Preddy was shot and killed. At some point, protesters cut the perimeter tape.
A lot of pointing of mace and bear spray.
Oh, hang on. All right, be safe, get safe.
Then the chaos came.
All right, get out of here, bitch. Hang on.
And lingered.
Hold on, I can't breathe.
While the crowd dispersed.
Thank you.
Tracy, who owns a My Hung kitchen, opened her door so people could recover.
Water? Some water? God, I am
so sorry.
Sweet. Oh my God, I'm so nervous, scared, very scared, really scared, but I'm so happy. God, I don't know what to say.
As they got a front row seat.
Oh my God, bam. Make my heart go beeping.
Of the nonstop clash.
Get behind the fence, babe.
Federal agents advanced from their perch. At times, they would retreat, and protesters would follow. And then the cycle would happen again.
Watch out.
And again. We saw at least 2 people detained. After more than 2 hours on the block, the last wave of deterrent hit. And as the smoke cleared, it revealed flames.
Is there a fire?
We all started moving here, and one of the flashbang hit and went through that car, and that's what started that car on fire.
Crews got around the makeshift barricades to put it out, while protesters were finally able to move in.
It's disgusting and inhumane.
And take in.
You can still see the blood on the floor.
Where it all began.
It's truly heartbreaking.
I know from firsthand experience that members of the press were impacted during this wide deployment of tear gas, and my colleague Jana Shortall was pepper sprayed, directly in the face as they were backing away from the perimeter.
Tonight, Alex Pretty's parents, Michael and Susan, issuing a statement regarding their son's death, saying, quote, "We are heartbroken, but also very angry." Alex was a kind-hearted soul who cared deeply for his family and his friends, and also the American veterans whom he cared for as an ICU nurse at the Minneapolis VA hospital. Alex wanted to make a difference in this world. Unfortunately, he will not be with us to see his impact. I do not throw around the hero term lightly. However, his last thought and act was to protect a woman. The sickening lies told about our son by the administration are reprehensible and disgusting. Alex is clearly not holding a gun when attacked by Trump's murdering and cowardly ICE thugs. He has his phone in his right hand, and his empty left hand is raised above his head while trying to protect the woman that ICE just pushed down, all while being pepper sprayed. Please get the truth out about our son. He was a good man. And we are learning more about Alex Pretty from those who knew him here in Minnesota. AJ Legault continues our team coverage.
Who knew him? Neighbors welcomed me and a handful of other journalists out of the cold and into their home.
I talk to Alex every time he's out walking his dog.
Really?
He lives right there.
Jeannie Weiner had seen the video of the federal agents shooting Alex Pretty, but had not yet put two and two together.
So I didn't know that was our Alex.
Our Alex, she said. Our neighbor.
That's how crazy it's gotten. That it's just getting way too close. That now it's just right here. That people that I know, good people, are being shot. And I don't think he was a threat to anybody. I don't think that he was a threat to anyone.
I live across the street and up a couple houses from Alex.
Holly Reckel is the president of the Lindale Neighborhood Association.
I'm kind of shocked. I mean, just as I learned that it was my neighbor, I was watching the videos that seemed like he wasn't a violent threat. So, and I'm shocked that this happened, actually.
Oh my gosh. All I know is that he's been a good neighbor. I talk to him over the fence all the time. He walks his dog. He's a registered nurse. I don't know what else to say. It's senseless.
Well, despite the bitterly cold temperatures, hundreds gathered peacefully tonight to honor Alex Pretty and to protest immigration enforcement in Minnesota. Our Carla Holt was there.
ICE out! ICE out! ICE out! ICE out!
A vigil for every immigrant.
Use your voice if you're able.
Bringing together those who've long called America home.
This is my first protest.
Along with those whose families fall a bit closer on the timeline.
We're really privileged to have been born here, so we can use our voice and we're not scared.
Fear behind them, motivated for others.
Everything that's happened, and also having friends and family who are scared, so I'm out here for them too.
And out here in this bitter cold, also a blanket of grief.
My neighborhood is strong. We have solidarity, and Alex was a key part of that.
As Alex Pretty's neighbor, Chris Gray, recounts the man his community lost.
He's a working class person who spent his time making people well, which is the opposite of what ICE is doing in our city.
Which is why more than 1,000 people gathered to honor every immigrant, Alex, and each other.
We won't be staying home, and we're not scared. We're here now, and we'll be here tomorrow until ICE leaves.
I think it was just the last straw, honestly.
Our team coverage continues now with Megan McPherson live at the Whipple Federal Building, one of the places that the Minnesota National Guard is mobilizing tonight. Megan, what's the latest?
Yeah, good evening. There is some commotion behind me here right now, but the group of protesters that have been here throughout the day have remained very peaceful from what I have seen and witnessed here, really just interacting with ICE agents as they drive in and out of the Whipple building here. But really the biggest thing that we have seen is that deployment of the Minnesota National Guard. We have seen those National Guard vehicles around the Whipple building and these areas around the building here throughout the day. Take a look at some of this video that we took earlier today, again, showing those vehicles here in the area. We know that they are here to assist local law enforcement in securing the Whipple building and maintaining safety for everybody, for ICE agents and for the protesters who have been here today and in previous days as well. Now, also did want to mention to you too that we are seeing some people that say that they were detained earlier at the scene of the fatal shooting. They were taken, they say, here to the Whipple building and then released today. And there is an organization that is assisting those people in getting them home safely. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Megan. As we go to break, another look at the memorial site in South Minneapolis where people are gathering still, even in these bitterly cold temperatures. When we come back, more video of that shooting. Chris Harapsky breaks it down from several different angles.